What the hell? It's starting already.
Here we go.
Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him.
Welcome to the Matt Schneidman Show.
That's a guy who is an intriguing one because he was an undrafted free agent.
Follow Matt on Twitter and Instagram at Matt Schneidman.
This is good stuff.
Or use the talk and text line at 1-414-799-1973.
If he can carry over what he's done in practice to games, then maybe we could start talking about, okay, Packers might have something here.
Now with Doug Russell, here's Matt Schneidman on the game.
Matt Schneidman Show, Monday, December 4th, and I'm a man of my word. I said that if the Packers beat the Chiefs, they would win the Super Bowl. I would like to reel that back a little bit, but
Okay.
I did say I'm a man of my word, so I'll give you a little bit of that. I'll go 75% of the way. I think after last night, they can make a playoff run and win at least one game. It obviously depends on the matchup. I don't think they would beat the 49ers right now, but I have proven time and time again this season that I am wrong about this team this year. As, you know, a lot of people are. I'm not the only one, but I'm not trying to deflect blame. I picked them to lose to the Chargers, the Lions, the Chiefs. I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to predicting games for the Packers this season. Just an incredible win last night. I mean, the Chiefs hadn't allowed more than 24 points in a game this season. The Packers held them to 19 points. They now have the number 9 scoring defense in the NFL. Joe Barry extension, anyone? I just thought it was a very complete game in all three phases. Another standout performance from Jordan Love. Timely stops on defense. High IQ plays from a guy like Keyshawn Nixon. We'll get into that later. Clutch kicks from Anders Carlson after a couple, burdensome weeks. I don't know if burdensome's the right word. My thesaurus isn't working on all cylinders.
Challenging.
Sure, challenging. A couple challenging weeks from Anders Carlson the past couple games. And here the Packers are. They were left for dead at 3-6, at 2-5. They were 3-6, had games against the Chargers, the Lions, and the Chiefs ahead. They were number 6 at the time in the 2024 NFL draft order. I said, they're going to be 3-9. We've talked about it before. I pitched to my editors going to Ann Arbor after the Detroit game to watch Marvin Harrison Jr. write a story about that from a Packers perspective. The Packers currently hold a playoff spot. I don't know if you've seen the updated standings, but they're the number 7 seed right now. There are 4 teams tied at 6-6. That's the Vikings, the Packers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. So tiebreakers are in the Packers' favor right now. Something else that's in the Packers' favor is their remaining schedule. At Giants versus Buccaneers, at Panthers, at Vikings versus Bears. Now, on paper is different than on the field. On paper, the Packers should go at least 4-1 in those games. They're favored by 6.5 points next Monday night against the Giants, but Packers should have gone better than 3-6 on paper in their first 9 games. There's a reason you play the games. Matt LaFleur, I thought, had a good point last night. He said, we're a 500 football team. That's the reality of it. Because if they let these last 2 weeks, the celebration of them, the momentum of them, I don't want to say the momentum, if they let kind of, I don't want to say cockiness either, but the feeling of, we're on top of the mountain now. If they let that seep in to East Rutherford next Monday night, the Giants can do to the Packers what the Packers just did to the last 2 teams they played. So they got to stay on it, keep this thing rolling. Because right now, Doug, this doesn't just look like a playoff team. This looks like a team that can make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, it really does. And I know that last week I may have brought up 2010 a couple of times. And I'm not saying that this is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, but I also said that in 2010 too. This is a team that is the 6th seed in the playoffs. They're the last team to get in. They only got in because of tiebreakers. There's no way they're going to lose at Philadelphia in the wild card round. Well, then they beat Philadelphia in the wild card round. Well, there's no way they're going to beat Atlanta, the top seed, the high-flying Falcons, at the Georgia Dome in the divisional round. They boat raced them. And then, of course, against the Bears in the NFC Championship game and the Steelers in Super Bowl 45. I'm not saying that history can repeat itself. All I'm saying is that it's happened before. But this team is a team that's playing really, really well. After the game against the Chiefs, I asked a couple of guys in the locker room, what does momentum mean for this team. And Jonathan Owen said, look, momentum can mean everything.
Absolutely.
Momentum can carry you. It's real in sports. It gives you confidence. It doesn't make any opponent seem daunting, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it's the Giants, obviously coming up, whether it was the Lions on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, again, it's one of the reasons that I don't do game-by-game predictions, because I think they're kind of silly and a waste of time. That having been said, there was literally nobody who thought that they were going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody. I mean, at least nobody publicly said that. I think that, a neutral type of observer. Nobody said, I think that the Packers are going to beat the Chiefs, just like on Thanksgiving. Nobody thought that the Packers were going to beat the Detroit Lions. Now they're going to go into the Giants game favored. They should go into the Giants game favored. The Giants are terrible. They've beaten a couple of really bad teams in the last couple of weeks. But
Tommy DeVito action right here, former Syracuse quarterback.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Give me the chicken parm, will you?
The Giants are terrible. The Giants are awful, but that doesn't mean that the Giants can't beat the Packers, because I think it goes back to what Matt LaFleur was saying about, look, we're still a 500 team. We're still 6-6. We can't let the last couple of weeks dictate how we're going to play the rest of the way, but you really like the trends that you're seeing because of exactly the things that you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, the intelligent plays of a guy like a Keyshawn Nixon, the, go up and get those passes like Christian Watson. Hopefully he's not too hurt, but I guess we'll find that out as the week goes along. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing Romeo Doubs make circus catches. You're seeing the promise of this offense kind of ascending all at the same time. It's really fun to watch. I think to me, it started with the Steelers game, and that's a game that they lost, but they've been on this steady incline ever since. And it's been really, just more than anything else, it's been fun to watch.
It's incredible how well-rounded this team seems now, because early in the season, there were too many fires to put out. It was Jordan Love. It was the run blocking. It was the pass catchers not catching balls. It was the run defense. Like, sure, the run defense wasn't good last night either, but Packers got sound special teams play. Their pass catchers made contested catches again. I mean, who's this Christian Watson guy that has resurfaced the past couple weeks?
He's the guy who I said was going to emerge when we were back in the bar in preseason.
Yeah. That guy.
That guy.
I mean, that contested catch for the touchdown was incredible.
It was awesome.
Guys like Dontavion Wicks, Malik Heath making plays. Matt LaFleur said that they talked about in their team meeting today the sequence where Malik Heath drops that pass, and then right after that, takes a 6-yard route, turns it into about 15 yards by breaking a guy's ankles. That's how you bounce back. That's an undrafted rookie. It's Ben Sims making his 3rd catch of the year, kind of selling the run in a 6 offensive lineman, 3 tight end, 1 running back set, and then getting wide open for the touchdown. They're getting contributions from a lot of guys. And I was walking out of Lambeau Field with Bill Huber last night, and he goes to me, this team's going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. Listen, are they going to make the playoffs? I think so. But who knows? They still have work to do. Even if they lose in the first round, what they're showing right now with this young offensive core and a handful of guys on defense who are going to be here for the foreseeable future, who knows what the ceiling can be?
And that's just it. And we were talking, at least I was, on the drive home from Lambeau Field after a big win against the Chiefs, obviously. Maybe it's that Matt LaFleur knows how to coach. Maybe Brian Gutekunst knows how to evaluate talent. That's possible. I mean, maybe this team isn't as bad as, the internet would lead you to believe sometimes. I put it out on Twitter after the game that, listen, I don't know that he's the favorite. You look at what D'Amico Ryans has been doing in Houston. He's probably the odds-on favorite right now for NFL Coach of the Year. Matt LaFleur's a candidate.
Sure.
He's a legitimate candidate right now. And you mentioned, I know in jest, but maybe not. I mean, an extension for Joe Barry. His team, his defense has played really exceptional football over the last month. Really exceptional football. So I don't think that they're the best team in the NFC. You look at what San Francisco did to Philadelphia. I still think Philadelphia is really good. I'm surmising that it'll probably be those two teams at the end of the season. But as you said, and it's true, and we've used history as our guide so many times, that's why they play the games.
So I'm looking at odds on FanDuel right now. There are 12 players ahead of Jordan Love in MVP odds. Only
Okay.
12.
Okay.
Prescott, Hurts, Purdy, Mahomes, Tua, Lamar, Tyreek, CJ Stroud, McCaffrey, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Jared Goff. And then for Coach of the Year, Matt LaFleur is 6th in odds right now.
Okay.
Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryans, Mike McDaniel, Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni, and then Matt LaFleur tied with Kyle Shanahan in the odds. That's a conversation for down the road, but the people who vote for that award are people like myself in the media. So yes, it's a, facts and substance-based award. So that's why guys like Shane Steichen should be in the mix because of what he's done without his starting quarterback. Maybe a Kevin O'Connell, what he's done without Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. But it's also like a narrative award in a sense. And the narrative of Matt LaFleur being able to not only turn this season around, but do it without Aaron Rodgers, that's a pretty strong narrative. So he probably won't win it, but he certainly has a case if they keep this thing going. And
There's
we talked
5 games
about it.
left.
There's 5 games left. The face of this turnaround has been the starting quarterback.
Certainly.
But there are others. I mentioned them in my story on The Athletic this morning. Carlson, Ben Sims, Christian Watson. I'm writing about A.J. Dillon for tomorrow morning, who we'll get into a little bit later in the show, who have contributed. And just as Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst said during the struggle early this season, that Jordan needs better help around him for us to get a sense of what he can truly be. Just as we all, rightfully so, I think, faulted both Love and the supporting cast, we have to give credit to not only Jordan Love, but his supporting cast.
Well, and I said early on, I just think these guys need to become NFL players. I wasn't the slightest bit concerned when they were 2-5, as long as you saw some ascension by the end of the season. I didn't know that it was going to, culminate in, what is, as we sit here today, a 6-6 record. I didn't think they were going to knock off Kansas City. Certainly didn't expect them to knock off Detroit. But, what you saw earlier in the season, they were a bunch of first and second year players playing like a bunch of first and second year players. And maybe I gave them too much of a pass. I don't think I did, because I kind of expected this, maybe not to this extent, not with the wins, but I kind of expected them, because I believed in the plan, believed it in training camp when I thought that this was going to be a 6-win team. Well, they're already a 6-win team.
My 10-7 might be right, Doug.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. But yeah, I mean, they had their early season struggles. And so the only thing that's surprising me so far is the fact that they've beaten teams that really no one gave them a chance to beat. And they're putting themselves in a really good position with 5 games left to play. It's been so much fun to watch this team, and it makes those early season mistakes, to those that didn't believe, maybe a little bit more understandable. And listen, I'm happy to be wrong on the amount of wins that this team has been able to rack up so far. But by and large, outside of that, yeah, this has kind of been the plan. This has kind of been going according to script, just maybe a little bit better script so far.
We have to give credit to Mo from Illinois, our most regular caller, who did call a Packers win over the Chiefs. I'm expecting a call from him at some point today to rub that in, but I didn't want that call to be, Doug, you were wrong. I said that the Packers would win, so I got out ahead of it.
No, it's fine. I don't make game predictions. You know that.
No, I know, but I'm saying you just said nobody picked the Packers. Oh,
right.
To win.
Okay. Except for Mo. Yes, you're right.
That's
Mo
what
did.
I'm saying, because I don't need him to call and get on you for misrepresenting him.
But I also said that no one, like in the media, that was supposed to be, non-biased.
Sure. I get that.
Yeah. That's what I meant. And I said that. So
not too much news coming out of Lambeau today. Matt LaFleur said they don't know the severity of Christian Watson's hamstring injury yet. I did see him walk through the locker room today, unencumbered, it looked like, but we all know that doesn't mean much. These hamstrings can be tricky. He's dealt with hamstring injuries multiple times before. He said the Packers should know more tomorrow. So it seems we'll have an idea of his outlook going forward probably on Wednesday when we head into practice around noon then. A lot more to get to here on this Monday edition of the Matt Schneidman Show. We'll touch on more of Watson, A.J. Dillon, Jordan Love, the outlook for the rest of the season. Plenty to get to here on this Victory Monday. And as always, feel free to text or call 414-799-1973, the PellaWI.com talk and text lines. A lot less calls when they win as opposed to losing. People don't like complaining on the radio when they win.
Yeah, but Mo, if you're out there, you know the number. Hit us up.
He knows the number. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back after the break right here on the Matt Schneidman Show on the Game.
See the lights, see the party, the ball gowns. See you make your way through the crowd and say hello. Little did I know that you were Romeo.
Iron Jock is a Wisconsin-based company and wants to recognize another great Wisconsin-based company, Hometown Pharmacy. Hometown Pharmacy has over 50 locations across the state of Wisconsin and they now carry Iron Jock Performance Apparel. Right now, when you buy Iron Jock at Hometown Pharmacy, your purchase of $50 or more will earn you a 20% discount and 2 free pairs of Iron Jock socks while supplies last. Iron Jock and Hometown Pharmacy, proud Wisconsin-based businesses helping one another. The only person to pick the Packers over the Chiefs, the floor is yours.
Gentlemen, I'd like to make one thing very clear. I'd like to make one thing very clear to Packer Nation. I'd like to make one thing clear to all of the radio hosts today that I heard across the greater Wisconsin area. The Green Bay Packers are going to run the table. It's not a matter of if, it's when. So all the talk of people saying, oh, they may run the table, they may, lose one more game, have a stinker. Could we please all just cut that out? This Green Bay Packers team just defeated in back-to-back weeks top teams in their respective conferences, including division rival Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs, who nobody in the world gave them a chance to beat. So I'm urging everybody to hop on the bandwagon, even the non-Packers fans out there. You doubted this team. You doubted Jordan Love. And I'd like to say, I was at the game last night, and I'll tell you what the folks at Lambeau Field are saying. The fans are not questioning if the Packers have struck gold with another quarterback. The folks in Green Bay, and I'm sure the Packers front office, have admitted, and they know that the Packers have three-peated with a great, all-time great quarterback. So let's get on that board as well. The Green Bay Packers are back. They have punched their ticket to the playoffs with this victory over the Chiefs, assuming no monumental collapse has happened. And I couldn't be more excited because I believe in this team even at the worst.
So you're saying they have already punched their ticket to the playoffs?
1,000% without hesitation.
We tape these shows, right?
You haven't been wrong.
Absolutely.
But listen, Mo has not been wrong.
No, I know.
So we might just need to trust him. I have been wrong.
We tape it on both sides. We tape it for the good and the bad.
Absolutely. Yep. Now, should it have punched their ticket to the playoffs? Yes. Will it? My job as an objective reporter is to maybe not get ahead of my skis, which I don't always succeed in doing. But thank you for the call, Mo. I do like your boldness because you've been bold before and it hasn't come back to bite you. You said they would beat the Lions. You said they would beat the Chiefs. I told you were wrong. Guess what? You were right. And I'm an honorable man enough that I can admit when I'm wrong. I have been dead wrong the last 2 weeks. You were right. And maybe they will run the table. Maybe they will win 8 games in a row to end the season. And who knows? That might even get them an NFC North title.
Yeah, if you were on the table. Well, let's see. Yeah, it probably would because
Detroit still has to
Detroit still
lose 2 of their last 5.
And there's only one bye, so you'd still have to play the divisional, or you still have to play the wild card.
You'd have to play the Cowboys.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I mean, look, if they run the table, I guess we'll see y'all in Vegas, right? It's a great place to.
Was he talking playoff table or just regular season table?
I don't know. I mean, Aaron Rodgers famously said in 2016, I think we can run the table, and they almost did. And that's when they were 4-7 after they lost to Washington. And then they ripped off 6 wins in a row.
4-6, finished 10-6.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. But it also ended in the NFC Championship game in Atlanta.
True.
Against the Falcons, whose quarterback's coach happened to be
Matt LaFleur.
And then the Falcons went on to the Super Bowl where they got up big, like 28-3 big. And
Are you sure it was 28-3? I've never heard that score before.
I think it might have been.
Let's dive into last night's game. Start with QB1.
Yeah, he was good.
He's the guy. I said entering this game, we maybe needed to see some more than what he had shown over the last month, which was steady improvement, impressive play. But I wanted to see a little bit more. I've seen enough. He's the guy. Now, will he be the guy for the next 15 years like his 2 predecessors? I'm not ready to say that. But I was talking on 9 to Noon with the guys this morning. He's a guy that will get a contract extension in May. And you're not allowed to extend a guy, and I've gotten this wrong plenty of times earlier in the season, since the Packers did a contract extension with Jordan Love this past offseason, they're not allowed to do another one until 12 months pass from that extension. So when I said, oh, they're going to extend him 8 games in, or, after this season, can't do that. Shout out Rob Domofsky for pointing that out to me. They would have to wait until May, I believe, to do that. So
kind of takes the pressure off a little bit, though.
Yeah, it does. He's going to get an extension. It's just a matter of how much. I said, Daniel Jones got $40 million a year after one good season. If Jordan Love shows more upside than that, which I think he has, he could get a little over $40 million a year for, 3 years tacked on to his deal, entering a season in which, he has 1 year left. He's still under contract for 2024. I would imagine, speaking hypothetically here, that he would get a 3-year extension for, let's see, 140, probably less than that, because 45 times 3 is 135. I didn't do my math right on 9 to noon earlier. So from the Packers. I will say the run defense, it seemed just from the eye test that the pile was getting pushed a couple times, and the Packers allowed a lot of yards after contact in the running game, and then there were a couple times Pacheco got out. Other than that, I mean, if we're really picking through this thing with a fine-tooth comb, Packers just straight up outplayed the Chiefs. Straight up outplayed them. And something I want to get to after this break is some of those controversial calls and how useless pool reports with officials are. Because, I mean, we'll read some of the answers that Brad Allen gave, the head referee from last night. Just ridiculous. And if you're a fan from either side saying we were screwed over, well, both teams were screwed over. So it kind of evened out. We'll get to that and more after the break, right here on the Matt Schneidman Show on the Game. Matt Schneidman Show, Monday, December 4th, wrapping up here on a Packers victory Monday. After stunning the Chiefs 27-19, scoring more points than the Chiefs had allowed all season. What I want to touch on here before we get out of here in about 15 minutes, Doug, is my favorite part from pregame. I asked Keyshawn Nixon what he saw on his interception. And he said they were studying mannerism tape earlier in the week. Mannerism tape was the term he used, and said he saw Patrick Mahomes tap his knee and send two guys off the ball or line up two guys off the ball. And he said he knew exactly what was coming. Keyshawn Nixon ran that route better than Sky Moore, beat him to the spot as Moore turned around for the ball. And people are saying, Moore stopped running the route. Nixon disagreed with that sentiment when it was presented to him after the game. But regardless, people are eating it up. The video that I tweeted of Nixon explaining how his film study paid off with about 5 minutes left in a crucial game. And the Chiefs were marching down 5, 24-19. They were inside Packers territory after a Corey Ballantyne pass interference call, marched them down the field. And Nixon comes up with a huge play that the Packers then turn into 3 points on the ensuing drive to go up 8. I wrote in my story this morning, that's what good teams and good players do. Good players turn meticulous film study into crucial plays in big-time games against one of the best players to ever play this game currently, and he will go down as such. Good teams turn that into points. Sure, they would have liked to, turned it into 0 points, and by that, I mean they would have liked to gotten that first down on 3rd and 6 and knelt out the clock. But given the situation, Jordan Love taking that sack, which was intentional on 3rd and 6, Matt LaFleur said today, kind of on a tangent here, he did not want an incomplete pass.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have liked to take a 10-yard sack, but Jordan Love was coached to take a sack instead of throw an incomplete pass on that play to keep the clock running. Just so happened the kicker who's missed a couple field goals the last couple weeks, granted one of them was from 63 yards, and he's missed a couple extra points too, drills it from 48. Huge kick. That's what good players and good teams do, and I was really impressed. Sure, I'm sure there are things like that happen every week.
Mm-hmm.
Guys picking up on small tells from film study. They just don't reveal it because they don't want to give away their secrets. People are like, oh, why would Keyshawn say that? I don't know, because it's cool. It was great. It was great for my story.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to face the Chiefs again until potentially the Super Bowl, so I think it'll be okay.
Right. So I was happy that he shared that because it became the lead of my story. And that's what you want from players as fans, as readers, as listeners, as viewers. You want that insight. Nixon, as I said, was great in postgame, and that was probably the most insightful moment, was showcasing, as I said, it happens every week, but putting that film study and how it paid off into words for us. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I did too, because we only see, I don't know, what would you even... 5% of what these guys do, because we're kicked out of practice. Reporters that are there every day after stretch, so you don't get to see them working on anything outside of training camp. Obviously, we're not in film study with these guys. The only chance that you get a look inside is if you're watching Hard Knocks, and right now it's the end season with the Miami Dolphins. I haven't dived into that yet, but I think with Mike McDaniel there, it might be fascinating. Or in the preseason this year with the New York Jets. And you only get to see maybe 2% of that, but it's just maybe a peek inside of what the rooms perhaps look like. But nothing of substances ever, divulged there. Football coaches keep their secrets like they're, nuclear codes. And I get that. I mean, it's high stakes. Professional football, professional sports is a high stakes business. But anytime you can get that insight, I thought that was fascinating. I thought Keyshawn Nixon was awesome after the game.
So did I. He not only had that insight, he had the Jordan Love quote that we shared last segment. He was talking about Isaiah Pacheco punching him, throwing that mean left hook, and not retaliating.
Mm-hmm. And Matt LaFleur talked about that after the game when he got a game ball.
He did. When Matt LaFleur gave Keyshawn Nixon the game ball in the video released by the Packers, he said the thing he was most impressed with from Nixon was not punching back, I guess, because Nixon does, carry his block on that, what we thought at the time was a Corey Ballantyne fumble return for a touchdown. he kind of stuffs Pacheco's face into the ground after that play.
A little bit, but you got to keep your cool.
Carries his block a little extra. Pacheco gets up, swings a left hook at him. Nixon just shoves him. And Pacheco gets ejected, and it gives the Packers 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge play. And after the game, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the quote right in front of me, but Nixon said, "Buddy just punched me." And he said, "I almost lost my cool, but I knew the moment was bigger than myself. It was about the team. We won and they didn't."
Well, it's a good lesson for everybody in there too. I mean, especially with such a young team. And I know that Keyshawn Nixon's been around a little bit longer than some of the guys specifically on offense, but it's a good lesson for everybody that it is about the team. It's not just about the individual, and you got to keep your cool, even if somebody's taking a swing at you. Yeah. You know who the most effective player on offense for the Chiefs was yesterday? The guy who just got tossed because he tried to punch you.
And they weren't in running situations at that point, but the checkdowns were still available. And who knows? Isaiah Pacheco might have been in the end zone for a Hail Mary. Probably not, but
no. Travis Kelce is still, dealing with a bad back after he got a little shove.
Speaking of which, a couple questionable calls at the end of the game last night. There was the late hit call on Jonathan Owens.
That was crap.
Where both of Patrick Mahomes' feet are explicitly within the green.
Mm-hmm.
Owens does not lead with his head.
That's why he's not going to get fined this week either.
Right. Owens does not lead with his head. That gives the Chiefs 15 yards. There was the completion to Marquez Valdez-Scantling where the clock should have kept running because he was going backwards as he went out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that rule, that you have to be going forwards. There was the pretty clear defensive pass interference on Carrington Valentine on MVS.
Mm-hmm.
That was not called, and Valentine started grittying and said after the game, "I don't know what PI you're talking about.
I didn't see a flag.
I didn't see a flag on the field," which is, people are saying, Jair's been in his ear lately if he's talking like that, which, listen, the better quotes guys give, the better it makes my job, so that's fine. And then the Jonathan Owens push-off on Travis Kelce on the Hail Mary. So that's two calls that went the Packers' way, two calls that went the Chiefs' way. Bill Huber asked LaFleur about another one today. It was on the fumble recovery that wasn't when Rashee Rice was down and Valentine returned it. There should have been a 10-second runoff, I believe. So
I've got another one, too.
Go ahead.
That they missed. That I don't know if LaFleur was asked about it, but he sure was jawing at the officials about it at the end of the first quarter. The clock hit 0 before Butker, not kicked the ball, before the ball was snapped. It was very clear that the clock hit 0, ball snapped, Butker hits the field goal. Now, it was only a 34-yarder. You can surmise that he probably would have made it on the first play of the second quarter. But still, it was a missed play. It was a missed call. And LaFleur was hot about it during that, changeover from the first quarter to the second quarter. So, now that's just another one that was very clearly missed last night.
I remember there was one earlier in the season. I think it was against maybe the Saints. I don't know, the Lions. It was a home game where Love lofts a bomb down to Jaden Reed down the right sideline, and the clock was clearly at 0. So I just
remember that
figured
one too.
The one last night canceled out.
Is that how that works?
So both teams were benefactors of missed calls. And I mentioned earlier these pool reports that if there are controversial calls, a designated pool reporter speaks with an official after the game. They're designed to provide context, provide explanation, try and help make the calls make sense. Now, Brad Allen, the head official of last night's game, was made available to Calvin Watkins, who covers the Cowboys, is the PFWA, Pro Football Writers of America, president. Rob Domofsky and Adam Teicher, the ESPN reporters for the Packers and Chiefs, are their respective pool reporters. They were obviously busy in the locker room and press conferences, all that stuff. So Calvin Watkins did the call over the phone with Brad Allen. Let me read a little bit of this. Brad Allen sounds like a unwilling teacher explaining a rule to his students. Question. There were two calls in the game I have questions about. The first one, Patrick Mahomes got hit out of bounds with about 65 seconds left to go in the game. A personal foul was called. What did you see on the play? Allen. The covering official believed that the defender made late and unnecessary contact on the quarterback, so that was the call for unnecessary roughness. All right. Question. Was there a discussion about whether or not the quarterback was still in bounds? Alan, internal conversations happen on every play, and the covering official was certain that the call had been made correctly, so doesn't really answer. And then here's another one. On the 1st and 10 deep ball a few plays later, it looked like the Packers player was kind of draped over the Chiefs receiver, and there was no call. What did you see there? And then here's Alan kind of talking with his kid gloves on. As you may know, on every play where there may or may not be pass interference, either offensive or defensive, the covering official has to rule whether contact materially restricts the receiver. And in this case, the covering officials were in good position and ruled that there was no material restriction that rose to the level of defensive pass interference. There's no accountability being taken here.
Mm-mm.
There's no real context or explanation being offered here. It's just reiterating what the rule is.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody. Now, Matt LaFleur was asked this in his presser earlier today. How do we fix this? What do we do when, they're just getting calls wrong in crucial moments late in games with two teams who are currently in the playoff picture? The Packers fighting for a playoff spot on the fringe of one. Matt LaFleur said, I don't know. That's a good question. It's above my pay grade. He's not going to say anything that's going to get him fined. He did say that Jonathan Owens did not do anything wrong on his hit, and they will continue to coach players to do that, because he brought up, if you remember against the Saints, Jordan Love escapes the pocket, looks like he's going out of bounds, then cuts back inside for 24 yards.
Mm-hmm.
If guys start letting up when they go to the sideline, quarterbacks can do that. You got to go in for the hit. Jonathan Owens did it with 2 feet still in bounds. And my point is, these pool reports, no accountability, no real context. Refs are just able to hide behind transcriptions and not take any accountability for being blatantly bad at their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious, and you didn't really get anything. Like you said, you read the quotes from the pool report. Quarterbacks are already protected. They're protected by, if they are running with the football, they can give themselves up at any time, and outside of, a momentum little tap on the shoulder or something like that, if the quarterback is touched in any way, shape, or form, that's 15. It's an easy 15. It's a rule book 15, and everybody knows it's a 15. Quarterbacks, so, they're already, every rule has been made offensively over the last 15 or 20 years, and it's gotten kind of silly in some cases, to protect the quarterback and protect the quarterback's health. And I understand why. It's because of how important the position is and how much is wrapped up in the marketing of quarterbacks. It always has been. And Patrick Mahomes is one of the elite faces of the National Football League. And you do anything and everything to protect the elite faces of the NFL, even though it's not in the rule book, above and beyond what you do with everybody else. He's Patrick freaking Mahomes, for crying out loud. He's a 2-time MVP. He's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He is as famous as any NFL player in the world right now. So there's an extra level of that. Back
Travis
to the mat.
Kelce's more famous than him right now.
Yeah, maybe, probably.
We don't need to get into that right now.
Right. Well, either way. I mean, he's in the upper echelon. We'll put it that way. But his feet were in bounds, and he hadn't given himself up. And there's got to be a way. And I know that they don't want to put everything on replay. I get it. It slows the game down. But there are some things that are just so egregious, you have to take a second look at it. And that's one of those plays, because there's no way, shape, or form that should have been a 15. And like I said, defensive players get fined all the time. Those FedEx packages show up in their locker all the time. Every week somebody gets one. And Jonathan Owens isn't going to get one this week. And there's a reason why. He got hosed, and the Packers got hosed for 15 right there on a play that was, to me, so easily correctable.
And that's why we call the missed DPI a makeup call.
Right. Even though they will say, no, it wasn't. Every
play is its own play.
Every play is its own play. Every official, it's 2 bad calls, not one, call that was made up on the other. I get it. I understand. But yeah.
Now, there were people who said, even if he didn't interfere, MVS would have dropped that ball. But
well, we'll never know.
People are saying that, not me.
We'll never know.
Of course. We'll never know. Anyway, regardless of which way you cut it, which way you slice it, a very, very impressive win for the Packers, who now have to refocus, not let this hoopla distract them from the task at hand, which is the New York Giants and Tommy DeVito. I'm going back home this week.
I was going to say, you get to go back home.
I do.
That's going to be fun for you. Are you here all week?
I am.
Okay.
Because it's a Monday night game, I don't fly out until Saturday.
Okay. I didn't know you were going to go an extra day or two. Okay.
Yeah, going for an extra day.
I won't be. You'll get Hunter on Friday.
What the heck is that? There's a thumbs up on the stream. Did you just do that?
No.
A thumbs up in a bubble just popped up next to my head on the stream.
I have nothing to do with that.
Watch it back. You'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought that was some special effects. That was pretty cool.
I
We
wish I could
appreciate
take credit
everyone for
it.
listening to this Victory Monday edition of the Matt Schneidman Show. We'll be right back tomorrow with Wayne Larrivee. Hopefully he doesn't take a nap this week. He was very apologetic of missing last week's appearance. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Have a great rest of your night.
Yeah.